48 miles from Washington, D.C., beneath a mountain in rural Virginia, an entire underground city has been waiting for the end of the world. For over 70 years, Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, 600,000 square feet of tunnels, offices, dormitories, hospitals, cafeterias, power plants, and water systems carved into solid rock. Protected by a 34-ton blast door 5 feet thick. Designed to shelter the President, the Cabinet, the Supreme Court, and thousands of federal officials during nuclear war. And for 30 years, almost no one knew it existed. The public first learned about Mount Weather on December 1st, 1974. Not from the government, from a plane crash. TWA Flight 514 slammed into the mountain during a storm, killing all 92 people aboard. When rescue crews arrived at the crash site, they found something else: security fences, armed guards, and a massive underground facility that wasn't supposed to be there. The Washington Post and Associated Press began investigating, and America discovered it had a secret backup government. But here's what most people still don't know. Mount Weather wasn't built during the Cold War. The site was originally a weather research station in the 1800s. During World War II, over 100 conscientious objectors lived there as weather researchers, unaware they were standing above what would become a doomsday bunker. And the facility isn't abandoned, it's fully operational. In 2025, the government announced major upgrades: subterranean construction, new HVAC systems, classified improvements. Mount Weather is still waiting, still ready, still secret. This is the story of Mount Weather, the underground city built to save America's government, and the infrastructure that exists to ensure continuity of government no matter what happens on the surface. Mount Weather sits in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, about 7 miles from Bluemont. At the turn of the 20th century, it was a weather observation station. The National Weather Bureau acquired the site to launch weather balloons and kites. It was remote, elevated, perfect for meteorological work. For years, it operated as a legitimate scientific facility. Nothing secret, nothing unusual. In 1928, President Calvin Coolidge even used Mount Weather as a summer White House. He stayed there to escape Washington's heat. The facility had a few buildings, research equipment, and stunning views of the Shenandoah Valley. But as meteorology advanced and better technologies arrived, the Weather Bureau handed off most of the 100-acre site to the Army. It became an artillery range during World War I. After the war, the government tried to sell the property. No one wanted it. In 1936, the Bureau of Mines took over. They were interested in the mountain itself. The rock was exceptionally dense. Greenstone, perfect for testing new mining techniques. The Bureau dug an experimental tunnel about 300 feet beneath the mountain's crest. The tunnel was narrow,
7 feet wide by 6.5 feet high. It extended only a quarter mile. But it proved something important. The rock was incredibly hard and stable. You could dig deep into this mountain and it wouldn't collapse. During World War II, the site became Camp 114, part of the civilian public service. Over 100 conscientious objectors lived there, men who refused military service for religious or moral reasons. They worked as weather researchers, maintaining the surface facilities. But they had no idea what was coming. No idea that beneath their feet, the mountain would soon be hollowed out for something far more sinister. By the early 1950s, the world had changed. The Soviet Union had nuclear weapons. The Cold War was escalating. The United States government faced a terrifying question. What happens if Washington, D.C. is destroyed? How does the government survive? The answer was continuity of government, and Mount Weather was the perfect location.
In 1954, just 1 year after the Pentagon's backup bunker at Raven Rock became operational in Pennsylvania, the Army Corps of Engineers launched a massive secret project. Codename Operation High Point. The goal was to transform Mount Weather into the nation's largest underground command center, a place where the executive branch could relocate during a nuclear attack and operate for months. Construction began using the existing Bureau of Mines tunnel as an entrance. But the real work was excavation. Hundreds of thousands of tons of greenstone had to be removed, blasted, hauled out, disposed of secretly. Crews worked around the clock in 3 shifts, 40 men per shift. They worked in damp, cold conditions, constant temperature of 52 degrees Fahrenheit. The noise was deafening. The work was dangerous, but it was also classified. Workers couldn't talk about what they were building, not even to their families. One of the foremen, a man named Fowler, worked at Mount Weather for 31 years, from 1938 to 1969. He helped dig the original mine tunnel, and he supervised the expansion during Operation High Point. He later said the crews blasted and excavated for 3 years straight. By the time they finished, they had created an underground city. The final complex included over 600,000 square feet of space. Offices, dormitories for hundreds of people, a hospital, a cafeteria, recreation areas, reservoirs of drinking and cooling water, an emergency power plant, a radio and television studio, part of the emergency broadcasting system, and a crematorium, because if nuclear war happened, you couldn't bury the dead outside. The entrance was protected by multiple layers of security. First, a guillotine gate, a massive steel barrier that dropped vertically. Then, a blast door, 10 feet tall, 20 feet wide, 34 tons, 5 feet thick. It took 10 to 15 minutes to open or close using hydraulic systems. Once inside, the tunnel roofs were reinforced by over 21,000 iron bolts, driven 8 to 10 feet into the rock. The facility was designed to survive a direct nuclear hit, or at least a near miss. Total construction cost, adjusted for inflation, exceeded $1 billion, and almost no one knew it existed. The government slowly expunged Mount Weather from official records. After 1953, public mentions disappeared. The facility became a black site, known only to the highest levels of government, and even then, only about 20 members of Congress were briefed. Mount Weather's first full activation came sooner than expected, not during nuclear war, but during the Northeast blackout of 1965. On November 9th, a massive power failure knocked out electricity across the northeastern United States and parts of Canada. 30 million people were in the dark. The government activated Mount Weather to coordinate federal response. It was the first real test, and it worked. In 1967 and 68, Mount Weather was on standby during urban riots and Vietnam War protests. The government feared domestic unrest could spiral out of control. If Washington became too dangerous, key officials would evacuate to Mount Weather. Helicopters could make the trip in minutes. The facility remained on alert, but it wasn't needed. Then, in 1979 to 1981, something unusual happened. The National Gallery of Art developed a secret program with FEMA. If nuclear war seemed imminent, they would transport valuable paintings to Mount Weather by helicopter. The Mona Lisa, Rembrandts, Van Goghs, America's artistic treasures would be saved underground. This wasn't paranoia, it was official policy. But the facility remained secret until December 1st, 1974. That morning, TWA Flight 514, a Boeing 727, was flying from Indianapolis and Columbus to Washington Dulles International Airport. The weather was terrible. Snow, winds gusting up to 46 miles per hour. Visibility was less than 50 feet. At 11:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the plane impacted the west slope of Mount Weather at 1,670 feet above sea level. It was traveling at approximately 230 knots. The aircraft hit trees first, shearing them off about 70 feet above the ground. Then it struck a rock outcropping. The plane disintegrated. Wreckage was scattered over an area 900 feet by 200 feet. All 92 people aboard were killed, 85 passengers and 7 crew members. When local rescue crews arrived, they found something unexpected: security fences, armed guards, and a massive underground entrance. The guards wouldn't let rescuers through certain areas. They claimed it was a weather research station. But reporters started asking questions. The Washington Post investigated. The Associated Press followed. And within weeks, the existence of Mount Weather was revealed to the public, for the first time in over 20 years. The government confirmed the facility existed, but they revealed almost nothing else. What was inside? How big was it? Who controlled it? The answers were classified, and they still are. FEMA took over management of Mount Weather in 1979, but the details remain secret. Tours are not allowed. Journalists are turned away. Even members of Congress have limited access. After September 11, 2001, Mount Weather was activated again. Vice President Dick Cheney and other senior officials were evacuated there. Congressional leadership was also relocated. For weeks, key government figures operated from the underground bunker while Washington recovered. It was the most significant activation since the Cold War, and it proved the facility was still essential.
Mount Weather was never truly completed in the traditional sense. It's a living facility, constantly maintained, upgraded, expanded. In 2025, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited the site to oversee classified improvements, subterranean construction, new HVAC systems, enhanced security measures. The government announced the visit but provided no details about what was being built or why. The facility operates under FEMA's National Continuity Programs Division. It serves as the primary relocation site for the highest civilian and military officials during national emergencies. Not just nuclear war, any catastrophic event, pandemic, terrorist attack, cyber warfare, natural disaster. If Washington becomes uninhabitable, Mount Weather becomes the capital. Inside the facility reportedly includes living quarters for over 1,000 people. Each official has an assigned space, food reserves, medical supplies, communications equipment connected to military command networks. The emergency broadcasting studio can broadcast to the entire nation. The president, the cabinet, and the Supreme Court all have designated areas. It's a fully functional government, underground. But here's what the public doesn't know. Mount Weather isn't the only facility. It's part of a network. Raven Rock in Pennsylvania, Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, the Greenbrier Bunker in West Virginia, operational until 1992, and dozens of other classified sites across the country. During the Cold War, the government secretly mapped over 2 million structures nationwide. They identified 316 mines and caves suitable for post-nuclear manufacturing. The FBI rented facilities across America with nuclear war agreements. All of this was hidden from the public, and most of it is still classified.
Mount Weather represents America's darkest contingency plan. The acknowledgement that Washington could be destroyed, that the government must be prepared to survive and continue functioning, even if millions of citizens don't. It's a sobering reminder of the nuclear age, of the Cold War mentality that still shapes national security policy. The facility has been criticized as elitist. Why should government officials be saved while ordinary citizens are left to face nuclear fallout? The answer, from the government's perspective, is continuity. Democracy requires functioning institutions. If the entire government is wiped out, who leads? Who makes decisions? Who ensures order? Mount Weather is the answer to those questions. It's not about privilege, it's about survival of the system. But the secrecy remains troubling. Even today, 70 years after construction began, most details about Mount Weather are classified. The exact size, the number of people it can shelter, the provisions stored inside, the activation protocols, all secret. Congress has limited oversight. The public has almost none. Mount Weather exists in a legal and democratic gray zone, essential but unaccountable. And it's still active. The 2025 upgrades prove that. The government is still investing millions, maybe billions, into maintaining and improving the facility, which raises uncomfortable questions. What do they know that we don't? What threats are they preparing for? And if disaster strikes, who decides who gets inside and who doesn't?
Mount Weather is one of America's most important pieces of infrastructure and one of its most secret. For over 70 years, it has waited beneath a Virginia mountain, ready to shelter the government during the unthinkable. It was revealed by accident, a plane crash that killed 92 people. And even after the secret was exposed, most of the truth remains hidden. Why does the government still keep so many details classified? What upgrades are being made in 2025? And what would actually happen if Mount Weather had to be activated for real? These questions don't have public answers. The facility exists in the shadows, essential but invisible, ready but secret. If you want to uncover more stories of American infrastructure hiding dark secrets, subscribe to Hidden America. Next time, we'll explore the Silver Bridge collapse in West Virginia, where 46 people died in 20 seconds during Christmas shopping, and witnesses reported seeing a mysterious creature called the Mothman in the weeks before. Was it paranormal warning or mass hysteria before disaster? Subscribe now for more hidden infrastructure stories. And remember, somewhere beneath a mountain in Virginia, an entire city waits in the dark, ready to become America's government if the worst ever happens.